I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different, and every breakup is different. Work with me, and you'll get professional help on your situation. Just click on the link in the description below, or go to my website, askcraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth, and in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about negative and controlling behavior. Well, have you ever had somebody accuse you of being negative and you thought to yourself, no, I'm not? Well, there's a good chance that you have been and that you were just unaware of how your behavior is affecting other people. This is because we have unconsciously learned behaviors throughout our entire life. And so, if you had parents that were arguing or bickering sometimes, or, being controlling to you and doing it in maybe a manipulative way or a forceful way, you learn that those behaviors can be effective. Especially if you're a child, what choice do you really have if your parents get forceful like that with you until they control you and they make you do things? Otherwise, well, you're going to get consequences. And unconsciously underneath it all is that abandonment issue, that they could leave you, they could walk away, they could sever the relationship with you, and ultimately that would mean death. Okay, and that also goes for society. And if you think back to like a tribal type society, if you did behavior that was seen as, out of acceptability for that tribe or whatever, they could send you out off into the wilderness and you could die, right? So that's why there are a lot of unconscious rules and norms that people follow just kind of by nature, right? So what I want to talk about today, and I have a good email, is about how our negativity may be so ingrained in us that we have no idea when we're even doing it. It could be a look, an eye roll, a sigh, here we go again. All of those comments are negative, whether you realize it or not. And what it means to be negative is to negate someone, right? Negative, the root of that is negate. And if you think about what that means, it means to minimize somebody, right? So if you give your opinion and I negate it, I'm negative towards it, it's to minimize that person. And you're really doing it, why? Because you're trying to impose yourself on them. You're trying to impose your ego, your being onto that other person and shrivel that up, right? So you don't realize this, but underneath all of that for the other person is an annihilation fear, right? That might be something Freud would have said is an annihilation fear, that our existence, our very existence is being threatened, right? If somebody's negative towards you constantly, it makes your existence feel less and less real, like you are being shriveled up and you are going to poof, go away, and your ego is feeling threatened. And so when that happens, and you're doing it to the other person, you're not even realizing it, and you've been doing it so long, over and over again, those tiny little behaviors, it makes the relationship feel unsafe. For that other person, they don't feel safe around you, okay? So, you're constantly being negative, can be even little comments here and there, opinions like, oh, I don't like you going to that class, I don't like you hanging out with that person, I don't like you going to this school. All of those are negative things, right? You're negating them. You're imposing your will. It's making them feel threatened. Their existence is threatened. And when you do that, there's not going to be attraction. Okay? You're going to kill the connection with that person because they don't feel safe with you. How are you supposed to be drawn to somebody and want to be close to somebody when the very thing that you may be doing, or they could be doing too, is threatening your very existence? So you have to understand why negative behavior is so destructive to a relationship, and why it's absolutely critical that you understand some communication techniques and learn that you've got to do your very best to be aware of your negative behaviors and to change them, okay? So you stop, threatening your partners, right? Because they're not going to feel safe around you. All right, so it's really important that you understand this, and one of the key things that I teach is about the mirroring, validating, and empathizing. And so when you communicate in that way, when you mirror, validate, and empathize what your partner has to say, the negativity is gone because you're no longer imposing and you're saying that where they're coming from is correct. And I didn't want to talk about this too much in this video, but if you go review my video, The Reason Couples Argue, is absolutely critical that you understand a healthier way to communicate with your partner. And so, let's say, for example, your partner says to you, you're late all the time. I'll just give a quick example. You are so late all the time and I'm sick of it. You're going to say to them, it sounds like you're really angry at me. You're mirroring what's coming at you. They're angry at you, right? You're angry at me because I'm coming late all the time. Then they're going to say, yes, I am angry at you because you're late all the time. It makes me so mad because you're inconsiderate and you don't think about other people and how it's affecting everybody else. So then you're going to validate it. Yep, you're right. I was late today. I was late a few other times or weeks or whatever. And you could give a couple examples. You're right. So there have been numerous times where I have been late. You're right. Then you're going to empathize and you're going to say, you know what? If you did that to me, I wouldn't like it either. If I was sitting here waiting for you so we could go someplace or we got other people waiting for us and you kept being late, I wouldn't like that either. So I can completely understand where you're coming from on that. See, you're no longer being defensive. You're no longer fighting with this person and arguing back and forth, and then it escalates. You're coming from a place of, yes, what you're saying is true. You're not defending. You're saying, okay, I get it. I understand it. You're right. And I wouldn't like that either. Because oftentimes we don't understand how we're affecting other people. And it's really, really critical that you do. And this is a skill that is absolutely critical if you're going to get your ex back or have any kind of healthy relationship. Okay? So, go back and watch that video, The Reason Couples Argue, where I talk about it a lot more. And let me get into this email today. Okay? This is a good one. And what was nice about this email is that after I had done this email coaching, he was really, really happy with my assessment of it, and he already had presented some information to his wife afterwards, and he already signed up to do a Skype with Margaret because based on what was going on here, I thought it would be helpful for him to do with Margaret first, then we're going to do some Skypes together too. But I thought this was a really helpful video, okay? And it's a guy who's in his early 50s, and he's been married to a woman who's around the same age for over 20 years. 20 plus years, okay? And they have 2 older kids that are in their 20s, okay? So what he said is that she said she needed space, the wife. I had an affair 15 years ago, and I'm not sure she ever forgave me. Well, that would be a looming issue that would affect the entire relationship. If that issue wasn't dealt with and talked about, it would be there. And there would be some underlying anger and hostility from her, right? Told me 14 months ago she didn't have feelings for me, but she just started menopause and things were great again about 45 days ago. So he's assuming that the problem's her, right? If you hear that, he's kind of ignored that over a year ago she was losing her attraction, her feelings towards him, and now he's thinking it's menopause, or suspects that it is, because if he didn't, he wouldn't have brought it up. My son moved home and it put a strain. We have never seen eye to eye on how on the challenges we've had with our kids. I exploded a little bit, just verbally, about his drinking. Okay, so already I'm seeing problems coming out right here. I exploded. But then he just says, a little bit. Who explodes just a little bit? No, you exploded. And he's minimizing himself and how he's being negative towards her about his son's drinking. Now, his son, like I said, is in his 20s. And why does the son have a drinking problem? Think about it. And not following through with commitments, meaning the son. And she just said, I don't want to live like this anymore. So what does that tell you? This has been going on a lot. Because somebody doesn't say a comment like, I don't want to live like this anymore. This implies it's been happening a lot for a long time. And he's not aware of it. Meanwhile, he goes on to say, him and I, meaning him and his son, were fine 30 minutes later. Now, what I think is going on here is he's saying, him and I are fine. No, 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 no. How do you know he's fine? Did you ask him if he's fine? Or is it because you feel fine, because you vented, you got it off your chest, you exploded on him? That doesn't mean he's feeling fine, okay? He's got a drinking problem here. What makes you think you exploding on him? Just because things are calm, just because there's no arguing or fighting, doesn't mean he's fine. Okay. So he said the way he handled the breakup is that, they are still together. And they're moving their oldest back to school soon. She came to the house to use the workout room recently, and we went to lunch. Went to church and lunch on Sunday. She keeps telling me I'm sorting out my thoughts, not ready to come home. I got angry. Here we go again. Sunday nights, I feel like I was getting played. A little, she leaves me with my son, who caused most of our problems. Dog she had to have while she sits at her sister's house and has a glass of wine with no responsibilities. Look at all the negative attitudes in this one paragraph, okay? She keeps telling me I'm sorting out my thoughts and not ready to come home. So he's mad about that. I got angry. Sunday nights I felt like I was getting played. So now he thinks he's getting played. He doesn't think that she's valid here. Where she's coming from might be true to her. He sees it as she's playing me. No. He thinks that she's manipulating. Now why does he think that? I suspect it's because he's projecting. Because that's the kind of behavior he does, and so he's blaming her for it. Okay? Now, you see more anger in here. She leaves me with my son, who caused most of our problems. Now this guy, or his son, is in his 20s. He's angry that he's spending time with his son, and saying the son is the reason they have most of their problems. That's reality distortion, okay? The son is not the reason you've had most of your problems. It's your inability to communicate with her and deal with things. You've said it. You can't deal with things head to head. So I don't think in any way, shape, or form has this guy been able to communicate and use his words without getting angry, lashing out, being controlling, being negative, being manipulative. And he's done it for so long, he doesn't see it. Well, after he got my email coaching, he saw it. And fortunately, he's already blown away, and he seems very committed to making change, okay? So, sometimes, like I say, if you don't know if you have a problem until you know it, right? Until you see it, right? In other words, if your shoe's untied, you don't fix your problem, you don't fix the shoelace unless you know, right? You don't just fix it, right? You have to know that there's a problem first. Now he's starting to see for the first time, wow, oh my gosh, I really have a problem here. I had no idea. Now, he's more angry about the dog. She had to have this new dog. Angry about the dog. While she sits at her sister's. There's anger there. Oh, she's just sitting around and I'm here all by myself. Has a glass of wine with no responsibilities. There's a lot of contention here. A lot. Okay? He says, I backed off and said, you know what? You take all the time you need. I had you in my life for 15 years more than I deserved. Most women would not have taken me back, and you did that. And for that, I am forever thankful. That was beautiful. I got to give him credit for that. Him saying it like that was absolutely great. You will always be my best friend. Nothing will ever change that. She just said thank you for those kind words. The only other communication we have had since then is if she could come work out today. I said sure. Okay. She told him that the two biggest problems in the relationships was his controlling behavior and his negative, volatile communication personally and by text at times with her and my son. I just gave a whole bunch of examples of that behavior. So he says, what should I do? Do I let her continue to come and go from the house? Well, at this point, I certainly would. I would be flexible here and give this woman a chance to breathe and to reevaluate things. You don't want to come on too strong here because she's already said she's lost attraction for you over a year ago. And she's still not ready to walk away. It sounds like she really values you and the relationship, but she's probably just so exhausted by your behavior. Do I cut off all communication? No, I would let her communicate with you when she wants to, okay? I wouldn't be reaching out or bothering her. When she wants to talk to you, she'll come over, she'll contact you, she'll let you know. He says, I try to be nice and ask her for outings with no pressure. We did everything together. Ran, biked, worked out, traveled. She has only been gone for 6 days, and she says she needs to sort out her feelings. She doesn't want to take anything from the house yet, but she's given me indicators like thanking me for how good I've been to her dad over the years. That makes me think she has made her decision, but is just getting counsel, and I may be blindsided. Well, I don't think she has made her decision yet. I think she's taking her time here. You guys have been married for many, many years, and she probably doesn't think you're going to change. Now, the great news is that you've already committed to changing, and you've already signed up to talk with Margaret. And I know that because I already set you up to do that. And I know we're going to do a Skype after you get a couple in with Margaret, because I think you have a lot of deep-rooted issues here that I think Margaret would be excellent for. And, we can talk together about attracting her, I think, after you can really get some good feedback on what's going on with you emotionally. Now, I don't think she's going to blindside you. I don't think she's going to disappear. I don't think she's going to just walk away from you. I think she just needs some time to really figure out what she wants to do at this point in her life. And I think if you can show her that you really are committed to changing, and I do know by the way, he's also said that he's willing to go to couples counseling and already looked up somebody locally based on me talking to him about his situation a little bit. And so he is committed to making this work, and that's excellent because, you hate to see a marriage that's been going on this long just get thrown away if it could be fixed. And, he's willing to do that, and at this point she's willing to do that. So I wouldn't rush things at all. I would take this slow. There's no reason to tell her to come back home. Let her feel free and be free to make her own decision. She'll be a lot more likely to make that decision if you allow her to do it on her terms. So, if you want to get my help personally, just go to my website, askcraig.net. sign up for the coaching option that works best for you. I do email coaching. I do Skype coaching. If you got to get with me right away, I do offer emergency Skype coaching. And now Margaret is available to do coaching too. You can just go to my website at the top where it says Margaret, click on that, and you can get to do Skypes with her. She's awesome. Trust me, guys. You know that. But make sure you subscribe to the channel too. I always forget to tell you guys that. That way you know when a video comes out and you're alerted by YouTube. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.